afternoon, and welcome back to My Harlem Portraits, the show that aims at shedding a light on the fundamental contribution of African Americans to the building of this country and on Black excellence. To represent in the utmost way Black excellence and to celebrate Women's History Month, we have a very special guest who is also a very good friend of mine, and she is a star, Mrs. ALYSON WILLIAMS. Welcome to My Harlem Portraits.
Thank you for having me, Maria. I am so excited because I am glad to be celebrating with you Women's History Month. I am glad to be celebrating with you Black excellence, but I'm so glad to celebrate our friendship and our sisterhood. We have been trying to come together for the longest to make this interview happen. So it's a great day that we come. And I love when you say, and she is my friend.
Miss ALYSON WILLIAMS is Harlem-raised, Emmy Award-winning Jazz and R&B recording artist, an actress, entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and a radio host. What more? Did I miss something?
I'm tired now just listening to how many things you say I'm doing.
Exactly. So I want to start from the beginning, right? And so tell us about your growing up in Harlem and how your passion for performing arts started.
Well, you know, I'm a woman of a certain age. I don't mind saying that this year I will celebrate my 63rd birthday.
Oh.
And so coming along in the 60s, there were not a lot of images that I could look at that looked like me, especially not in a contemporary form, as if you would think about it. Young people coming up, all of the artists were pretty much older and well established by that time, but one thing's for sure, they had fought the fight to open the doors. So you had Dorothy Dandridge as an actress, you had Pearl Bailey, you had Lena Horne, you had Diane Carroll, Leslie Uggams, and actresses like that, and singers. You had Nancy Wilson. Of course, there were more singers and people on the music front, Carmen McRae, and all of the greats like Billie Holiday, Dinah Washington, and coming up in a jazz household. Those are the ones that I gravitated to, although we did listen to Gladys Knight, and I did have Chaka Khan, and I did have Shirley Caesar and Mahalia Jackson on the gospel side. And so, you know, there were many more, I guess, like I said, musical icons, but in terms of singing, dancing, and acting, which is what I aspired to do, because it's what I did see. I did see, even on the male counterparts, the Sidney Poitiers and the Harry Belafontes and the Sammy Davis Juniors. It seemed like the entertainment machine saw you as a commodity that if we can make you sing a record, then we'll try to put you in the movies. If you do good in the movies, then we'll try to put you on the Broadway stage. If you do good, you know what I'm saying? So they made opportunities for artists to be well-rounded if they could handle it, if they had that skill set. So naturally, that's what I thought I was supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And it's sad, Maria, because as a kid, I didn't know that they weren't using Black women in musicals. I didn't know that they had stopped producing musicals in Hollywood, you know, like the ones I was seeing on TV. Yeah. And that if they were, and if I were old enough and were out on my own as a striving artist, that my skin color would have played a part, and I might not have gotten a part because of it. I didn't know that. I just knew I wanted to be. I wanted to follow in the footsteps of these women and men. So I knew from a young age. And the good thing was I had parents that they nurtured it. They didn't say, "Oh well, you know, show business is not really a good, you know, choice for a career. You need to go and learn to be a secretary, or maybe be a nurse, or maybe." They didn't tell me that. They said, "You want to sing and dance? You got it."
Well, you're very blessed.
Yeah, and it didn't help that my dad was a trumpet player, trumpeter, and his own band leader. Mm-hmm. So music was in my world. And my mother had been an actress and dancer, but she gave up her career to raise her girls. So she, I think, also didn't want me to have to go the same route. although she became a nurse and she was excellent at it for years and years, she didn't want me to have to look back and say, gee, I always wanted to be in show business and I'll never know what that's like because I didn't have the support.
Yes.
And she didn't have the support.
Yeah. And you started, for example, in Harlem.
Yeah.
You had an incredible experience as a founder of the Dance Theater of Harlem, Mr. Arthur Mitchells. He was one of your mentor. And then you were dancing with Alvin Ailey, which is pretty incredible. And then you obtained a scholarship to Marymount Manhattan College. So this is how you started practically your career.
It's funny because there were, back in the day, as we say, there were many different dance studios and schools and programs that were funded that allowed children to have the dance experience. I also went to many of the smaller schools and studied various types of dance, before. Well, it was like this. Arthur Mitchell had a school, and he was teaching out of the basement of a church called the Church of the Master. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows the story, over on Manhattan Avenue. And he was there for several years, then he stopped. And I guess the time that he took in between was to establish the Dance Theater of Harlem as a brick and mortar structure. So I studied with him as a wee little thing, mm-hmm. When he was still at Church of the Masters. Mm-hmm. And then I went back to him as I guess I was in grade school by that time, 7, 8-year-old, and continued on into my my young, I guess you call adult teen, up into my 17, 18. So in between there was LaRock Bay, and there was Ruth Williams, and there was Mary Bruce, and there was there was Olatunji, and all of these different locally bound dance experiences, that I was immersed in. And then coming out of Dance Theater of Harlem, being with the junior company and doing so much, then studying with so many other great choreographers like Ailey. I would take class at Ailey. I would study with just so many different ones. Frank Hatchett, Fred Benjamin, and you start. The minute you're able to travel in Harlem on your own, you start going downtown. The minute you get away and go in the subway and take the buses, you start branching out, and you want to take class here, you want to study here, and you get a new circle of friends over there. And then by the time I got to college, which was Marymount, when I got to high school, I was issued a full scholarship to Marymount Manhattan College, and they had a dance program. But I wanted to double major because I thought I could achieve anything. So I majored in dance, and my minor was communication. I wanted to go into the broadcast arena because I felt that if I could be close enough to radio and television, it would be just one more door to ensure me getting into the industry as a performer.
Yeah.
The one thing that I didn't count on, and you don't know these things coming up, you're young and you think you know everything. They didn't offer broadcast communications at Marymount. They offered journalism. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't smart enough to realize, Allison, go with the journalism. It'll lead you to the broadcast. It'll just be another skill set under your belt. But I was rebellious, and it was boring to me, and I had to write everything, and I didn't want to write, and it felt like an assignment, and I just wanted to be around equipment and studios and things of that nature. And I guess because I had gotten a taste of it in my personal life. So at any rate, I excelled in the dance as much as I could in the dance department. Now, you have to remember, this is at a different time, and people, we didn't have a Misty Copeland at that time. Of course, we had Judith Jamison, and we had some great dancers. But in terms of what it looked like to me, there was one African-American dance professor on staff at the time at Marymount, and she decided that she wanted to go back to Alvin Ailey to go on the road. So she left me there with the remainder of the staff, who were non-African-American dance teachers, and they wanted to tell me that I would do good in musical comedy and in theater, but I'd never be a company dancer.
Because you were Black. That's what they
and other things, even to the point of saying, your body type is not right. And I'm looking at them like this because Arthur Mitchell has already told me that my body is fine and perfect, and I can dance any swan I want, any bird I want, swan, lake, firebird, blah, blah, blah. Any of the birds, I can do it. I can do it if I study hard, and this is what I want. And so I'm looking at these women going, you're already setting me up for failure because I'm of the color of my skin, and because of your closed-mindedness view on what it is that you've been doing for X amount of years. So I got to get out of here. Luckily, I had a wonderful teacher, my professor in the journalism department, and he would tell me, he'd sit me down, he'd say, Allison, listen, you're a good student and you do good work. He said, but I know you don't want to be here. So this is what we're going to do. And he set it up so that every time I had that class, and he said, I just want you to finish the class. I want you to pass. I want you to get a good grade. We're going to do the class and we're going to stop 15 minutes early. And we're going to turn off the lights and put up the shades, and you're going to take requests from your classmates, and you're going to sing time. And I thought that was just so, not only was it genius, because it did make me go to the class and not, like just, poof, shove it off and do something else. But it made, it gave me a chance to learn the skill of connecting with audience one-on-one.
Yes.
He knew what I did. He knew that I did this outside of school. He knew I was a performing artist, even if it was just local clubs or whatever. But he knew what I did, and he cared enough as a professor to want me to come. And he says, we're just going to do the class, and then 10 minutes early, we're going to you sing. And it worked.
Wonderful. And those teachers, those are the ones that can change your life.
Can. Because you have to understand, Marymount Manhattan is a very uppity, blue, fabulous school on the east side of Manhattan. They had things in there that I didn't experience when I left there and went to City College. They had lounges with pool tables and vending machines and leather sofas, and you can be in there on your break and stuff. So it was very easy. You had a lot of distractions in Marymount. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he is just one of the many professors that I experienced that helped me to make decisions that molded who I am,
And you are an incredible woman.
Well, thank you.
I have never seen you backing down, even when you got really sick with COVID and everybody was praying for you. You were just, I've never seen anything like that. So I admire you for your talent, for your voice that is amazing, but also for that. Because you are a doer and you are resilient and you never let go. So I'm learning so much by living in this community. I'm learning a lot. That's why I'm doing this show. Because I want other people to know the excellence and the resilience that is in the Black community in America. It's something that I've never experienced anywhere else.
And Maria, you know what's beautiful about the program is that it gives people the mindset that imagine if we took the time to immerse ourselves in other cultures. You've taken this so much to heart. You could have just as well said, I love living in Harlem. It's fabulous. There are restaurants. It has history, and I love it. But you want to give it to the world, so the world can experience what you experience, and it makes people want to do the same.
Exactly. And after you left college, or in college, after Marymount, you also joined I.N.C.A, which is the Institute of New Cinema Artists, that was headed by royalties.
Yes.
Ruby Dee, Ozzie Davis, and Cliff Frazier.
Yes,
Tell me about that, because that must have been amazing.
I left Marymount, and like I said, it was a decision to go somewhere where I could get more immersed in a program where I thought that I would excel. I couldn't grow in Marymount because of the students whose parents had more money to do more and be donors. So of course, some of those students would get chosen over me for parts in productions and things like that. And the seniors, the juniors and the seniors had had seniority over who would get to do more work, because they had to get their stuff in before they left school. So that once again, the teachers thinking, well, you're a freshman or a sophomore, these kids are getting out this year and next year, so we've got to get them in to these productions and so on and so forth. And it was very frustrating because I was already working outside of school. I was working with my dad's band. He had a 21-piece swing band. I was working with local bands around Harlem and doing my little gigs. So I'm chomping at the bit to get on stage. Leaving Marymount, I auditioned for a program called the Aaron Davis Center for Performing Arts, which is up at City College, Aaron Davis Center, Aaron Davis Hall, and I was accepted. And at this point, it was under the John Lewis from the Martin Jazz Quartet was the head of the program, and it was music, dance, cinematography, and I want to say there was a fashion arm of it too. And all of those things came together. We all put shows together, and it was wonderful. And once again, here comes another professor, sits me down, says, Allison, we love that we have you here. We don't understand why you're not in Vegas doing whatever it is that you want to do. But I can tell when you are booked or when you are struggling with your work, because when your papers come in, they're great. But when they don't come in, he said, do you know what I do? And New Yorkers will understand this. And I said, no, what do you do? He said, I buy a Village Voice and I just keep turning the pages until I see your name. And then I know, oh, okay, so she's going to be at McKell's. Oh, so she's going to be at Sweetwater.
Oh my God. Yes.
So that's why the paper's not in.
Mm-hmm.
And the beauty of the Aaron Davis Center Performing Arts program was it didn't just teach you theory and it didn't just teach you music. It taught you how to survive as a working musician. That was the beauty of the program. Right smack dab in the middle of the program, I stayed at Marymount a year. I went to City for 2 years. And had I known, once again, you think you know everything, I would have stayed one more year. At this point in my age, 1 year is like 2 months. That's how fast time moves. Doesn't 1 year feel like 2 months? It's like, wait a minute, it was just January 15 minutes ago. So I decided I was going to leave because I had an opportunity to go to the Institute of New Cinema Artists. And the professor told me, he said, I know that you're sitting in class, staring out the window, hoping we get through in time so you can get down to the studio to do a session. You got to stop it. He said, this is what you do. There are things that we can teach you in here that you can't learn out there. But there are things that you can learn out there that we can't teach you in here. Go out there, go get it, come back, tell us all about it, and I guarantee you, we'll give you the piece of paper. Institute of New Cinema Artists. Like I said, back in the day, there were programs that were federally funded, and this was a federally funded program, which meant that we not only had the opportunity to go into this program, which was, they taught you everything about the music industry, from music production to concert promotion, and it also had a cinematography element to it too, because people were, we've always got to document, so there's always going to be somebody with a camera. And we had to learn how to produce a piece of music, how to get it played on the radio, how to buy time on the radio, how to find a venue, or how to get the police department involved, because it was an outdoor venue. And so we had to have permits. We had to make a jingle. We had to get that jingle played. The Institute of New Cinema Artists was funded and also headed, like you said, by Ruby Dee and Ozzie Davis and a wonderful man named Frazier. And they were able to take their long reach and call people like Nona Hendrick and Quincy Jones and all of these people that would come in and mentor us. Do you know what I'm saying? Even if it was live video, but most of the time, because it wasn't, like it is now, we could zoom in. They were coming in. These people were coming in, and they were mentoring us and giving us of themselves. Once again, a program you had to take a test and be interviewed, and they weren't. It was a great small group of people, but it just. If I can tell you, the group Full Force was the group that won. We put on something called the Big Apple Music Talent Competition, and we did it up at Grant's Tomb. So imagine a group of young people who have been told now, you have to produce a concert, find a venue. It's got to be outside. You got to make it safe. You got to promote it. You got to make a T-shirt. You got to print a ticket. You got to know how to. You got to do all of that, and we learned how to do that from soup to nuts. The beauty of the program is that once the program was finished, everybody got an internship, record recording studios, record companies. I went to the Commodore. Somebody else to what became Rush Productions with Def Jam. Vincent Davis went to Arista. And you know, till this, yes, we know Vincent Davis. So just imagine some people, if they wanted to be engineers, they went to Media Sound. They went to all these wonderful studios that used to exist in New York, big studios where they recorded everything from the Rolling Stones to the Philharmonic. So you could learn so much, you know. And we got paid. We got a little check every month, not every month, every week for going. Once we left the program and graduated, we went to our internship and we got a couple of dollars. You know, so can you imagine?
Wonderful,
you know,
opportunities.
To be able to do what you do and know that you've been you were standing on the shoulders of greatness. You had people that you could always call and go back to. Even once I left the program, they would keep their hands on us, but they made sure we went through the proper protocol, so we practiced that.
Yes. Yes.
You know, we could have gone back to these people as teachers and mentors. Sure, it's great, but they wanted us to understand that this is what I did for you at the program was what I did for you at the program. This is what I do in my real world. You've got to deal with me like you deal with the rest of the real world. And that's how you're going to know how to navigate that program. I'm so glad that my professor at City College told me, Allison, go do you, because I went and did I.N.C.A, and it was one of the most incredible one of the most incredible experiences of my life. And from working with the Commodores, I gained so much experience. I was also doing a lot of session work at that time. I was working with Kurtis Blow, because I met Kurtis Blow up at City College, and I became his hook girl. So you got to figure Kurtis Blow is the king of rap. He's producing a lot of other rappers. So he was producing the Fat Boys. And I sang on Fat Boys Was Back. I sang on DJ Love Buzz Starsky's You Gotta Believe. I sang on If I Rule the World. A lot of people think Lauryn Hill was the first person to record that, but it was Kurtis Blow, and I sang the hook. And then, of course, they're playing basketball. We love that basketball. So, you know, all of these years later, as we celebrate a 50th year anniversary for hip hop, I'm a part of that because I sang on all these records that were the building blocks of rap, and rap gave birth to hip hop. So and being signed to Def Jam as my first label. So, you know, it's been a real crazy ride, Maria, coming from theater and dance into music, into these different, through my education, having the opportunity to go and do so many things outside of the classroom that led me right to where I wanted to go.
Yes. And as a rap artist, I remember you were considered the quintessential hook girl for the rap and hip hop genre, and you were the first female R&B artist to sign with Russell Simmons' Def Jam. That's when I came to New York, when Russell Simmons' Def Jam was big.
Was just starting, yeah. That was the mid 80s. Actually, back in 82, 83, early days, he was talking about. He knew he wanted to make this label happen. And I got an opportunity to go on to Capitol Records and be a part of a group called High Fashion. And that's me and another wonderful singer, Melissa Morgan. And so we did that in 82, 83. And right around there, once that group situation disbanded, Russell said, okay, well, I'm not quite ready with my label first. I'm going to put you on Profile. That's where my brother is. That's where Run DMC is. I'm going to put you on Profile. And so they're putting all the pieces and parts together and putting the puzzle together. And finally, in about 85, 86 is when Def Jam came into fruition. And I was his first female artist. He started it, and I'm quoting him, it's going to be the dopest, deafest, most underground label ever for underground artists. Little did we know that it would become something that would only change the music game, but would create a culture. Not change the culture, but create a culture. And being the first female artist, recording artist, singing artist, was a great honor, because it was a very male-dominated label. There was other female rap artist, Ruby Dee, who was my colleague and counterpart. She was the rapper, I was the singer, and she appeared on records. One of her first records was a record with me, and everything else was a guy. Everything else was a 100 Public Enemy, Houdini. It was Run D, not Run DMC, LL Cool J. It was, you know, it was guys all over the place. It was just guys.
That wasn't enough for you. So after that, you went to Columbia Records, OBR, Original Black Records label, which later became Sony, and recording two very successful albums. Tell me about that.
Those albums were with Russell, Kurtis being the one that introduced me to Russell after all the different things I did with him in the studio. And when Russell began to formulate this idea for Def Jam, he wanted to also not only just have it be for rap artists and underground artists, but Russell was a kid just like the rest of us. He came up going to house parties and parties at the community center. And obviously they played more than rap music. They played good quality R&B, or what we call old school R&B, which was the hits then. So he had a chance to listen to some incredible artists. And I think that in his mind, he found his, and in his heart, he found his inner Berry Gordy, and he wanted to develop and put good R&B music out too. So he signed me, he signed Orange Juice Jones, Chuck Stanley, and a singer named Tishawn. And we were his first R&B division of Def Jam, and the label was called OBR, Original Black Records, and we were signed to Columbia Records. So Def Jam and OBR were both signed to Columbia, and when Columbia turned to Sony, then we all made the move, which was really good and advantageous for all of us to be able to be with a major label and then sign into the new regime of that major label. So it was really good. And all of those two albums, one was called Raw, R-A-W, and the second one was self-titled Alyson Williams, and those both did really well. We had top 5 and top 10 hit singles. Just Call My Name went to number 3 on the R&B charts, and the album Raw itself stayed on the charts for 67 weeks. So if you do the math, there are only 52 weeks in a year. We stayed on for 67. And the only other album that year that matched that was Like a Virgin, Like a Prayer rather, by Madonna. So you know, I was doing pretty good back then, you know, in terms of my notoriety and what my music was, the impact it was having on the marketplace. And I stayed with Def Jam until 1984, but I'm sorry, 1994. But you know, I think everything must change, as they say. So I think it was time for me to go back to my theater roots. I think it was time for me to continue to explore other things. And I felt at that time Def Jam maybe was moving more, you know, into a place that didn't necessarily have room for. They had made such a big impact and changed the culture, or actually defined a culture, which was then called hip hop. And I'm not a hip hop artist. I did a lot of work with rap, which gave birth to hip hop. I've done a lot of work with hip hop artists, but I'm not a hip hop artist. I'm still a singer and basically a balladeer, you know, a torch singer. If you know what I do, and I'm a jazz singer by trade. For those who come out and see me and know what my show is about. So I like to consider myself a multi-genre performer, because I believe that my gift, yes, it is singing. But I like to think that my real gift is diversity. When I say that, I mean, I can sing anything I want and sing it authentically.
Yes, I totally agree. That's why I follow you for so many years. So when you say you went back to your roots of theater and arts, theater, art, and dance, you starting, one of the things that you did that is amazing, you went to off-Broadway, Broadway, you did a lot of shows and so on. And one of the shows that I like to remember, I haven't seen it because I wasn't here at the time, but the 25th anniversary revival of The Wiz, which was directed and choreographed by Tony Award winner George Faison. We both know him, he's both a friend of ours. And
yes,
the first Black man who won a Tony for choreography on Broadway.
And that was the best part about it. Now let's fast forward to right now. We know that they are bringing a whiz back to Broadway as we speak. It's on tour, headed to Broadway very soon with a wonderful cast from what I've heard. I haven't seen it yet either. But Maria, let's think about this. When I did the whiz with George had been asked to direct it. Which was a great honor for me to work with the original George Faison, who choreographed the original Wiz on Broadway. Yeah. At that time, it was 25 years. Now they are celebrating 50 years.
Yes.
The Wiz has been in existence for 50 years. The Wiz on Broadway, the Wiz in the movies, the Wiz on the television stage production. It just keeps on going. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And the 25th year anniversary production, I feel so great about, because I had the honor of working with George Faison. Who would know it better? Who would know, who would have the heart, that's ensconced in his DNA. And it was a great production, and we performed it in Texas. It was wonderful in the round. It was a wonderful experience. I played Eveline, the Evermean, the Wicked Witch, and it was a great experience. And to think that it's been 25 years again, so 50 years.
It's incredible.
It's incredible.
50 years of hip hop, 50 years of the Wiz. I mean, there are so many revivals that are coming out that are really amazing.
I know.
Victorious also was 32 years.
Yes.
Amazing.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
And you performed also with many really great artists, from Melba Moore, Maurice Hines, Oba Babatunde.
I've had the opportunity to work with many of the best, to share stages with Ashford and Simpson and Dr. Angelou, to work with Nancy Wilson and Shaka Khan, to share stages with Stevie Wonder. It's really amazing, and so many different artists from so many different genres. And to have those experiences, and then when I was doing the theater, to be able to have people like an Angela Bassett.
Yeah.
Working with her, I've worked with Lynn Whitfield, as you say, and all of these great actresses that we know from film and television, and Mary J. Blige, artists that are relative in so many different areas. So I feel very excited when I think about, and then not just to work with some people, you get to work with them. Some people you get to forge friendships, and those friendships go back and they last a lifetime. So I'm really, really, I can think about that and have fond memories. And some of those friendships turn into mentorships.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People who not only, they are there not only as friends and colleagues, but they pour into your life. They give you guidance. They lift you up. They push you forward. You know what I'm saying? So I have many, many opportunities to have very strong women in my life specifically, but people like George Faison, people like Valerie Simpson, our great dearly departed Dr. Maya Angelou, and Nancy Wilson are all people that I look at that are constantly right there and are the wind at my back,
Yes. You have been really, really blessed with all these incredible people being behind you. Dr. Maya Angelou, who lived right around the corner from where I live in Harlem. I've had the opportunity of seeing her a couple of times, and I'm so honored because she was amazing. But you were very near her, and she gave you a nickname, Songbird.
Yes.
Isn't that beautiful?
It was the most incredible honor to have her, give me a nickname, but it was the way she would do it. If you've ever been around Doctor, she can be very big in her presence, but all while being very, very quiet and very humble. She didn't have to say a lot, but when she opened her mouth, the words reverberated in your chest. The tone of her voice just made you want to excuse me, did you just say pickle. Anything she said, you know what I'm saying, was just golden. And sometimes I would walk into a room and her back may have been to me, or she may have been had her attention the other way. And if she heard my voice and I was saying, hi, so-and-so, or hello, so-and-so, you know, she would just stop and she would go, Songbird, because she knew my voice.
Yeah.
And she would stop what she was doing and she wouldn't look at me or look around. She'd just stop and say, Songbird.
Wow.
And that would just throw me across the room. I mean, you know, just to know that she recognized me, and she always liked to call me by the name that she gave me, and I was her Songbird.
Wonderful. And for the Queen, when the Postal Service, United States Postal Service, dedicated to Dr. Maya Angelou a forever stamp, which was complete with her image and powerful words, they invited you to perform the national anthem and the Black national anthem with the National Color Guard. Tell us about that, because that must have been an incredible moment.
You know, it was beautiful. There was so much that went into putting it together, and I always have to, you know, look at the people who are behind the scenes, because we only see the end presentation, but boy, oh boy, it was in Washington, D.C. It was at the Warner Theater. And of course, because there were going to be so many dignitaries, Mrs. then First Lady President Obama, Oprah Winfrey, so many different dignitaries were going to be in attendance. So of course the Secret Service was sweeping around and doing, you know, different preparations days before, and I was privy to some of that situation and seeing it come together. But to perform with the National Color Guard, to perform the national anthem and the national Black anthem was quite an honor for me. Like I said, when it came to comes to Dr. Angelou, people because of them knowing our relationship, the family and people who work closely to her assistant, Lydia Stuckey, they are the people that people go to when they want to know, how do we put this together? How do we make sure that we're getting the right players? And they will always say my name. And I'm always thankful of that. I'm grateful of that. Dr. Angelou, I always say, is the gift that keeps on giving. They presented her with this stamp after her death. And I had sung for several of her memorials, her actual funeral, and just to be called upon, because they knew how she felt about me. And it was always an honor. But this not only, well, I said the gift that keeps on giving, this not only put me in the eyes of, on a national stage in honor of her, but then put me in the eyes of the Obamas, who I had not had a chance to meet. I mean, I sang at the 2 inaugurations, but we didn't have a personal situation. I did 2 events, one at the first in his first run as president, and one in the second. And I was honored to just be in the room, but we didn't, you know, we hadn't spoken. And of course, having many opportunities to be with Oprah as a result of being with Dr., because she considered us her daughters. You know, this was just a great opportunity. It's unfortunate that the first family left the White House before they were able to have me, but they expressed a great desire once they met me. First Lady Obama was like, I want you to definitely, we just have to find the right event. And she pointed me, we were standing together, we took a picture, and she pointed me to her press secretary. And she said, that's the woman that I want you to reach out to. And when I went over to the press secretary, they had eye contact. So she knew, she was like, I want you to have this card. And she handed me her card. And we did try to follow through, but the event just did not present itself. But I always say, Maria, delayed is not denied. And I put it out there in the world. Mr. and Mrs. Obama, whenever you're ready, I'm here and I have a song for you.
Wonderful. So let's go to another thing you did, the radio show. Your radio show in 2015 you started, right? Tell us
Absolutely.
about that.
Well, you know, so some years went by, and one day my auntie, I call her Auntie Jean Purnell, who has a wonderful show. I think it's City Lights on WHCR. She approached me, and I think we were at one of those fabulous Tate affairs. You know the Tates.
Yeah.
the only Tates. And she said, we were sitting together, and she said, have you ever thought about having your own show? And I said, I think about it all the time, Auntie Jean. And she said, I'm going to talk to the folks up where I am, up at WHCR, because I think there's a slot. I'm going to talk to our program director, Angela Harden, and see if they'd like to have you. And that's how it came to be.
Beautiful.
And that's how Love Notes was born. And it's been one of the best opportunities that I could have, because you know, just knowing that you have an opportunity to keep people in the now and in the know, and to, you know, work with a family like WHCR, because there's so much great programming there across the board. So it's great to be in a place where we got so much to offer, and we're reaching so many. And I can't believe it's been almost like 9 years now.
Yes.
And I've had everybody from Manhattan Transfer to Nancy Wilson to my cousin, who is the French hornist with the Los Angeles Philharmonic, Kurtis Blow, Mary Wilson. I've had everybody from every genre. It's been incredible, and we are still going strong. We just finished up our Black History Month. Programming, which was, for me, I put a spin on it. It was Black History Month meets the 50th year anniversary of hip hop, because this has to continue to be celebrated, and everything that we've done on that line is history. So I was lucky enough to have Flavor Flav from Public Enemy. I had Big Daddy Kane. I had DJ Hollywood. I had Chuck D from Public Enemy, and Ralph McDaniels, who's the creator of Music Video Box, and Video Music Box rather, and just these great people who were the architects of rap and hip hop, and gave birth to what we know now as hip hop. So they came on, and we talked about them, and now we're going into Women's Month, and I'm going to continue with some of our female hip hop artists, as well as some just powerful women who are doing great things for Women's Month. And I'm glad to be on your Women's Month.
We're going to be all in that beautiful, beautiful content of women, powerful women who are uplifting everybody else.
Yes.
Let's go to most recently, where you appeared in Fox Searchlight Pictures, Black Nativity, which is starring, and you were starring alongside Academy Award-winning actor Forest Whitaker, Angela Bassett, and Jennifer Hudson. Tell us about that. This
it's been released a few years now, but it comes back every year because it is the Langston Hughes Black Nativity, and the reimagining of it. And it was a great opportunity as a small feature, not, didn't have any lines. I was just in it, but it was a great opportunity. And also to add to my resume, and to know it comes back every year. And of course, working with Angela Bassett and Forest Whitaker was a great opportunity, and Jennifer Hudson. And I just look forward. That's what I'm trying to do now, is make a transition into more theater. I want to go back and do more theater, but into film and television. If we look around at the landscape of television, never before have we seen as much diversity as we are seeing now. We've come a long way. We have a long way to go, but just the visual of it, not the behind the scenes, but the visual of it. I've never seen more Black people, more women of color, more women and men of different sizes, people who are disabled, who have disabilities and challenges. It's across the board. So there's nothing that holds you back now. You can't say, oh, well, they're not going to use someone like me, or they're not going to be, there's something out there for everybody. And I want to take advantage of that while I'm still in this body and able to do what it is I say I do as an actress. So hopefully there are some roles out there in television. There's some roles out there in film. There's some soundtracks to sing on. There are some animated programming that I can lend some of these characters that live in my head. I have a lot of voices in my head, Maria. People don't know, but they're living up there. in a one bedroom, and they need a space. They need, to get out. So I want to be able to utilize that. Maybe there's some narrating, some children's books. Maybe there's some narrating of books in general, things of that nature where you're not necessarily seen in front of the camera, but you're working behind the scenes, because all of those things keep your skill sets tight, you know what I'm saying, and open you up to being able to do more and to work more and to impact people more.
I wanted to touch on the fact that you are passionate about community involvement, and currently you are laying the groundwork for the ALYSON Williams MVP Music Box Performance Art Academy. You are mentoring children and young adults in the public and charter school, and you serve as a board member for the LGBT Community Film Festival in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Choose one of them and tell me about it.
I will say that, yes, I do believe in community involvement wherever I can be, and mentorship wherever I can be for young people, and also trying to bridge that gap between our young people and our older people who have had the experiences and can lend something to our young people. So I like doing that kind of work. When I lived in Harlem, and I try to, every time I come back, if I'm ever there around the holidays, I'm up at Reverend Sharpton's National Action Network, and we feed the community. We feed food to the community and give out gifts and perform during Thanksgiving and Christmas. And we're trying to find more opportunities to do that here. I'm in Winston-Salem, and that is where I sit on the board at the Out at the Movies, OATM. Out at the Movies is an LGBTQ-based film festival. I sit on the board, and I've been on the board since 2020, and they give out scholarships and grants all year round to up-and-coming film producers, and it's not just for the LGBT community, but it is rooted there. Just recently, one of the great opportunities that I had being on that board and working for them and with them, there was a film director that brought a film to their festival, which happens every October, the Out at the Movies Film Festival, when it has their actual festival in October. And director James Walsh brought a film or two there over the last couple of years, and decided to do some filming down here. So I got a chance to be featured in his latest film, which is called Oscar Wilde About America. It is a reimagined take on Oscar Wilde's journey to the States. So I want everybody to go out, Google it, look for the trailer on YouTube. And I sang on the soundtrack as well, a song called Be Yourself, which we are hoping will be a brand new anthem, not just for the LGBTQ plus community, but for the world. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. So I'm proud to be with Out at the Movies, and as we continue to grow as a film festival. And that's part of my community work down here. The MVP Academy is music, voice, and performing arts. The ALYSON Williams MVP Academy, raising up the next generation of MVPs, most valuable players. And so that's we're breaking ground on that here too, because I just look at my telephone and I know that I have everything I need to be able to give something valuable back to these young people, whether they want to sing or dance or paint or whatever art form that they want to express themselves through. We're going to be able to give it to them.
That is beautiful. Giving back in that way is so beautiful, because you have the talent and the experience to give them. So this is
it's an honor and a privilege to be able to give it back.
Yes.
It's the price you pay for the life you live, is to give back.
That's right. That's right. So I want to talk about two more things. Well, the King of Morocco is one of my supporters. When I read that, I said, oh my God, and you're there every year and so on. Morocco is one of my favorite countries.
We've got to go together. We've got to go together because we know the country.
Oh, it's so beautiful, Morocco. I love
I
it.
love Morocco. When I went to
Many times.
Morocco for the first time, I had had several opportunities to go to the continent, but I never got to go. Morocco was my first opportunity to go. And when I went, the minute I stepped off the plane and onto the tarmac and came down the steps, and for some reason, we were outside and we went into I guess because we were met by the Secret Service of the King, and we were outside and we went into the terminal. But the smell of the air did something to me. It was almost like something saying you're home.
Mm-hmm.
It's something saying you are connected to this continent, even if it's not this region, but somewhere in this African continent, you are part of it, Allison. And I never felt that anywhere before. And I remember smelling the air and just getting full and my eyes welling up because I knew that I was on a land where someone in my history, my ancestors, had been there.
Yeah.
If it wasn't Morocco, it wasn't far, you know. So it just did that to me. I was very blessed through several friends who had the connections that would bring us to Morocco every year, at least twice or three times a year. It would be for three birthday parties, the two sons, one who is now in rule, and the King's birthday party, and most definitely the King's New Year's Eve party. They were the four best trips you ever. I could write a small book on that alone.
Yes.
And how well we were treated. So this year, one of our feature performances was to a song called "All the Man I Need," Whitney Houston.
Oh, wow.
And they had commissioned this beautiful gown for me, and I had four dancers, and they were swirling around, and I'm singing, "He fills me up, he brings me joy, more joy than I've ever," the whole song. And I finished singing. You're not allowed to touch His Majesty, but you may get close, and you may gesture to him, but there's a protocol. After I finish singing, I take my bow, the dancers, they leave, and I can hear someone in the wing saying, turn around, Allison. And I don't know what's going on, but I happen to look down and I see this shoe, and I know that it's the King's shoe. It's a beautiful, fabulous velvet slipper with the insignia on it. And it's just the King's shoe. I've been looking at it. I've been performing at his feet all night long. And I turn around, and the King has left his throne to bring me a single white rose.
Oh my God.
And they said that never happened. And then 9/11 came, and then it became dangerous for them to fly us. And so we started just doing parties in the United States for them. I cannot wait to do some things for them again. The country of Morocco has been so good. I'm actually trying to develop a jazz festival to take over there. But yeah, that's one of my great Moroccan stories.
Wonderful. Fantastic. Last thing, and it's very last, they're going to cut out. In June 2023, you were awarded an Emmy for your participation with Legends United for St. Jude. People get ready.
Well, Maria, last June in 2023, I had worked with a gentleman in the middle of COVID. His name is Skip Martin. He's the lead singer for the group, the Jazz Band. And he called me and he said, Allison, we need to put some music into the world that can give the world hope and some positivity. And I thought it was a great idea, but I'm like, how are we going to do any music? We can't even go outside. We're sequestered and quarantined. And he said, well, everybody's going to do it wherever they can. Some people were in their bathroom, some people were in their bedroom, some people were in their backyards, some people could go into the studio. But he took this incredible Kurtis Mayfield song called People Get Ready, There's a Change A-Coming. And he made a wonderful arrangement, and he called all his friends. He called his country and western friends, his pop friends, his rock and roll friends. He called me, Tony Terry, Pastor John P. Key, did I say Dougie Fresh, CeCe Peniston, Darkest. He called Stevie Wonder. He called all of these wonderful people, and we all made a rendition of us singing the track down. We could do such great things digitally now. And we took a video of us singing the songs, and they were able to put it together in a wonderful montage. People can find it on YouTube. People Get Ready. Legends
Gonna
United
watch
for
that.
St. Jude. It became, I would imagine he partnered with St. Jude after we made the song and they produced it, and they made a wonderful video, commercial of it. Emmy is for excellence in television, and so we won for excellence in arrangement and content for a music video commercial. People get ready. Legends United for St. Jude. Go see the whole story, how it all came together, and we won the Emmy, and I'm so excited. And I know that we won because we did it out of our hearts. We did this in the middle of COVID when you couldn't do anything, nobody got paid. It was just an act of love, and God honors that.
Yes.
And so that's how we got, that's why I'm an Emmy winner.
That is so beautiful. I think this is the best way to conclude our wonderful conversation.
I don't know when I'm going to be up in Harlem again, but I hope it's soon. I want your folks to know they can find me on Facebook, ALYSON Williams Music. They can find me on Instagram, ALYSON Williams Music. And if they're Twitter, it's just ALYSON Williams. And you can find me, like I said, I'm touring with Najee. I expect to be doing some new work with Christian McBride again, and just doing some really great things. And so keep your eyes open for me and new music and all kinds of great things.
And let me know when you come to Harlem.
Absolutely.
And I'll see you at Sugar Bar.
You'll see me at Sugar Bar. We'll do it. We'll do it. I love you so much.
I love you, Bella. Thank you.
Ciao, Bella.
And thank you to my viewers. See you next time at 12:30 p.m. on Spectrum 1993. And to see the past interviews, go to my YouTube channel, My Harlem Portraits. Bye-bye, and thank you again, Allyson.
Thank you.